Hello and welcome to Casual Buddhism. I'm your host, Cindy Rasicot, author of Finding Venerable Mother, a Daughter's Spiritual Quest to Thailand. I'm a devoted follower of Venerable Dhammananda Pikuni. Venerable Dhammananda is the first fully ordained Theravada nun in Thailand. What follows is a conversation that took place on May 4th in the evening at Spirit Rock Meditation Center while Kaira Jewel Lingo and I were on a retreat. And what follows is a spontaneous conversation that happened between Kaira Jewel and Venerable Dhammananda. Just to say a word about Kaira Jewel, she's the author of We Were Made for These Times, a great book which I read and recommend, and also a beloved Dharma teacher, and she was an ordained nun for 15 years and trained with her teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. So please enjoy this conversation and thank you for joining us. I would say if you would like to be a guest on Casual Buddhism, please email me at cindy.rosicot@gmail.com. Thank you.
It's a conversation, between sisters, between Buddhist sisters. And Kaira, as I know from your book that you have been a nun, you had been a nun for more than 15 years. Very interesting, this monastic lifestyle and now again becoming a layperson. What was that adjustment once you are back to lay life?
Yeah. Well, it was a very big adjustment of, not only had I been a nun for 15 years, but before that, I had lived most of my life in community. So I was raised in a residential Christian community.
Oh.
And so I always was with other people, like really until I was like 40. My whole life. Even in college, I chose the kind of living situations that were the most communal, where we ate together, we worked together, we cleaned together, we made our decisions together. So being living on my own in my own little apartment and cooking for myself and eating alone, I had never really eaten alone like that, and it was very lonely. I really, but in a way, I also felt it was important for me to have that experience because it's the experience of a lot of people in our society.
Yes.
Especially in the West, where people live so much alone. And so I thought, it's good that I know what people are going through, how painful, painful that kind of, I had friends, I was teaching already when I lived on my own, but that living alone, I was like shocked that, and then all the things I had to do for myself that I had only had to do a tiny bit of when I lived in the monastery. Like I would just cook once every 9 days because there were 8 other cooking teams. Or I would clean once a week because every other day other people were cleaning, or someone else was going to do the shopping and I could just do something in the office or something in the garden, and someone else took care of all these other things. But suddenly you're living alone and you have to take care of everything. And so just like that was very humbling, and it was so much complexity, right? Life sped up a lot. In the monastery, it was much slower because you weren't as busy, so there was more time.
Yes. Kaira, this is very important piece of information that I need to share with my Sangha members. They do not realize that, they always complain, they have to come and cook, just like what you said, maybe once after, here we take turn 1 week for three nuns, take turn like that, So before it comes back to their turn again, maybe it's next month. Yet they don't realize. They don't realize that, they're talking to you. I really get this gem of a teaching so that I can go back and share with them. Yes. To lead a life of a lay person is much more difficult, much more demanding, and yet you are so lonely, eating alone. True. Yes. Yes. So now, how do you balance once you have come out? How do you balance with that the mindfulness that you had when you were in the community, living in the community throughout, almost throughout your life?
Right, right. Well, um, I did go on a lot of retreats after I left
Oh,
the monastery. I went on
uh-huh.
long, like 3 month silent retreats at a retreat center. It was a lay retreat center.
Yes.
I found like every year going on a longer retreat was very helpful. So I did that just the first 4 years after I left the monastery. And then I started to be in a teaching program, a teacher training program with other
Yes.
people here at Spirit Rock. So we would come for 3 weeks out of the year and train, and being part of a cohort that was together for 3 or 4 years with people who were my peers in the Dharma, who
Ah.
I respected, who I became friends with, who I still continue to teach with now. So creating new community was what really helped me, and putting
Uh-huh.
myself in practice settings like retreat. But also I pretty much kept up my own daily practice of
Ah.
meditating at my little altar, and then also joining a sangha in my neighborhood where we would meditate in the morning. Um, Sitting, slow walking, sitting
Mm.
again, and then reading
Mm-hmm.
something and discussing it. So that was like once a week. I would join a group and then sitting on my own. And then I started to lead a sangha in the evening, Monday
Ah.
evening. So I was teaching for a week and guiding people and practicing with them. And trying, it wasn't like in the monastery, but I would go hiking in the park and be aware of like the colors and my body and my breath. And I had friends that we would do yoga at each other's house like 3 mornings a week. We take turns and we practice yoga together. So there were things that I found that really helped
Ah.
me to care for myself, to be in nature, to slow down, to practice. And that was like, those things really began to nourish me. So I
Yes.
didn't feel as alone. And I had moments of real practice throughout the week, usually every
Uh-huh.
day, even if it was
Yes.
me teaching. But I also
Yes.
tried to keep my own daily practice of yoga and meditation. Um, so it's a very different thing when you have 20, 30, 40, 50 other nuns and lay people to meditate with. It's like it's such a force field that if you don't go to meditation, you feel really bad. If you're in
Mm.
your room
Mm.
and everyone else is meditating,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
unless you're sick. If you're not
Yes.
sick, if you're just, being lazy, you feel really bad because the
Mm.
whole collective energy is there.
Mm.
You have a lot of support. Like you just flow as a river. You're just one body, and you go to the activities, and it's easy. And when you're on
Mm.
your own, you have to bring up that energy for yourself.
Yes.
Nobody is going to see you sitting or not sitting. You have to be the one who directs your own practice.
Yes.
Don't have that collective energy, but it's like if I wouldn't sit, I would notice how my day would be different.
Ah. Ah.
So, but it took more like inner, one of the things I feel was important for me, just me personally, about why it was important for me to lead, because I had grown up my whole life in some kind of community.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to I needed to individuate and to experience what it was like to cultivate from within some kind of discipline, because
Yes.
I had relied on external discipline.
Yes.
And so, and I see, well, I am like this a little bit with
Yes. Yes.
that, with
Yes.
that internal
Yes.
discipline.
Yes.
But I wouldn't see that if I weren't.
If you were still in the community,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Yeah, this is
some
very
of those
important.
things were lessons for me to see, okay, well, these are things that I really
Yes.
need to develop, I need to strengthen. But in essence, all those years of practice did create a kind of core that I feel is carrying me through. I still have to practice and nurture that core, but it was like a momentum that even when I left the monastery, that sense of practice,
it's still there.
something to take refuge in, it
Yes.
has not
Yes.
left me.
Yes.
I mean, it changes form, but the essence is there.
Yes, very important. The time that Cindy has is very limited. One last question. You know, I'm so curious about your name, Kaira. And just now, before the session started, you explained that it is fullness of time, beyond time. Is it within limited time? Kaira, could you please share with us this essence of your name? I think it's very important.
Sure, thank you. So the word Kaira comes from the Greek word kairos in the Bible. So in the Bible, so chronos is chronological time. And in the Bible, kairos is used to describe the time of Christ, where
I see.
When you're in Jesus's presence, you are outside of chronos. You don't experience linear time, but you experience the fullness of time, the outside of time, where time stops.
Yes.
It's a different kind of time.
Yes.
And so my parents are Christian. My dad's also a Buddhist minister. Anyway, but a Buddhist Dharma teacher, but he's also a Christian minister. They chose this name, Kairos. My mom actually chose it. But it's the fullness of the present moment. And I actually only knew that translation after I had become a Buddhist nun. And I thought, how did my parents know that this choose such an appropriate name?
Yes.
But it's really this sense of being so present that time falls away. The ordinary constraints of time no longer capture you, and you're free. You're free to just experience life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel it is such a great opportunity, you know, to simply talk about your name. You know, we could actually spend the whole time of this casual Buddhism. And, you know, I come from I have similar lifestyle like you know, because my mother had been ordained since 1950s, you know, and I grew up in a kind of a monastic setting, like, even though I was not committed as a nun, I did not commit to become a nun much later in life, but nevertheless, my life grew up in this community setting, and now I become fully ordained for more than 22 years now. I have not had that experience, you know, of stepping out of the monastic life to lead individual life again, but I did the reverse, you know, from you. So I try to create this community life for our sisters here, but reflection that I had with our conversation, it is a very rich information that I could share with my community. They have not understood what is the meaning of Sangha, you know, this communal life. I think it is a great opportunity. And some of us, you know, some of those visitors who have been just passing through, they were seeking only me as a teacher. They did not realize that living in a Sangha, every member of the Sangha is your teacher. They have not understood that. So talking to you today, you know, really give me yet another way of looking at it and enriching my information, my knowledge that I could really share with my community. So much appreciate this time and moment. And I would like to thank Cindy for inviting Kaira for this session. Thank you so much, Cindy. We go back to Cindy now.
Yes. And it's Cindy's birthday today. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. I light a candle for you.
Well, thank you. Well, I think this has been a wonderful session. I learned so much about you. Thank you. And I was so glad to have you both meet. It's a gift from me to you on
Yes.
So anyway, we'll be back next week with another episode of Casual Buddhism. And I wish you all a very good week, and we will see you soon. Thank you.
Yes, just one last information. This week, on the 13th of this week, I will be 77 years, 7 months and 7 days old.
Wow.
So there is also another celebration in our monastery for this event. So it's like more or less like birthday, but my big birthday.
It's a
Wow,
big
that's
birthday
very
week.
auspicious.
Yes,
Precious.
yes.
Wow.
So thank you again, both of you.
I also learned so much talking to you, Venerable. I really appreciate this conversation, and I'm looking forward to reading Cindy's book
Yes,
about your life.
yes.
Thank you so much for your warm welcome of me.
Okay, bye.